for you. Okay, so we asked earlier where our 40 live viewers are from. They have not responded. Maybe they don't want to win one of the prizes that we have mentioned for tonight. So by repeating the prizes, maybe this is going to entice them to respond. Would you like GCash incentive of 500 pesos? Would you like a free one-on-one coaching with me or with Sir Brian? Number three, a free book on IELTS speaking, IELTS writing, OET speaking, OET Gold Label Edition, the 4-in-1 book. Or number four, would you like to have AI-powered writing correction? All of these are the possible prizes that you can actually win if you're going to interact with us. All you have to do is to use the comments section. So, Sir Brian, maybe we can start with our PowerPoint presentation while we are waiting for our live audience to warm up.
Certainly. So today we're going to be talking about the differences and some similarities as well between the IELTS, the OET, and the PTE when it comes to the listening component. So we're going to talk about first the purpose of these exams so that you will have a great understanding about what these exams are all about and why they're late out in a specific fashion or whatever format they have. Why is it like that? So we're going to talk about that um, firstly, and then we're going to jump into the other components of the examination. And along the way, we're going to be also sharing with you some tips on how you're going to be able to ace your English examination, at least for the listening component. So IELTS, OET, and PTE are actually very similar in that they assess English listening skills for non-native English speakers like us. But I would say that one examination that's a little bit striking is the OET listening test, because insofar as the IELTS listening and the PTE listening examinations are intended for mainly academic purposes or professional training or maybe some general English proficiency assessment, the OET listening examination also ascertains whether you can survive in an English speaking environment in which healthcare is the core of everything. So you will actually hear recordings in the medical context when you're preparing for the OET listening examination, unlike the IELTS and the PTE that are more inclined to be general English exams. All right. So I guess Sir Irving can discuss the format of these examinations.
Thank you so much, Sir Brian. So now that we've mentioned the focus for tonight, the three high-stakes English examinations accepted by CGFNS for visa screen and the state boards of nursing for license by examination or license by endorsement. So here are the top three examinations. There's IELTS, OET, and PTE. If you don't want to tell us your location, maybe you want to tell us your preferred English examination. So by using the comment section, who among you would like to take IELTS? Kindly type IELTS if that's what you prefer. Or if you plan to take PTE, let us know. Use the comment section and type PTE. Or if you plan to take OET, again, use the comment section and type OET. But here's something to attract the candidates based in Metro Manila, Region 3, Central Luzon, and Region 4, Southern Tagalog. Well, I don't really mind if residents from Region 1, Region 2, Region 5, and the rest of the Philippines are going to travel all the way to Mega Mall on June 29 because on that day, during 9.09ers English Examinations Expo, we are giving away five winners, or we are going to identify five winners of free PTE exam. Wow, just wow. Why? Because one PTE exam costs 13,500 pesos. And on that day, we are going to give five. So that's approximately 70,000 pesos worth of free PTE exams that we're giving away on June 29. But if you're planning to take IELTS, oh yes, we're also giving away five free IELTS exams on that day. Right now, it's priced at 12,720. So multiplied by five, at least 60,000 pesos worth of IELTS examinations are up for grabs. And Everyone knows that OET is a bit pricey as compared to other exams, but nothing to worry because when you join us on June 29, there is a chance for you to bring home a free OET exam worth 587 Australian dollars and in pesos. How much is this one? Around 23 to 23,400 pesos depending on the exchange rate. So imagine you go to the venue without paying anything because it's totally free of charge, and when you arrive, and who knows, you might be the lucky winner going home with a free IELTS exam, a free PTE exam, free OET exam. So go ahead, ladies and gentlemen, spread the word. That's June 29, 12 noon to 5 p.m. English Exams Expo of 9.09er. This is what we call our 17th anniversary extravaganza. Now, let's take a look at some of the comments. Okay, thank you, Maria Teresa Aquino, for tagging Geraldine Aquino. Hope to see you guys on June 29 at SM Mega Mall, just in case you're based in Metro Manila. And if you're looking for the registration link, all you have to do is to message 9.09er English because we're going to send you the QR code for you to register for free. Now, let's go back to Coach Brian. So Coach Brian here has taken IELTS listening and PTE listening. And because Coach Brian is also a nurse, he has also taught OET listening since 2015. So Coach Brian, may I ask you, which of the three do you find to be the easiest to prepare for? And between the three, which one do you find most challenging to prepare for? Is it IELTS listening, OET listening, or PTE listening?
Okay, when it comes to these exams and the listening component, we probably already know that the listening examination is not so challenging, especially for Filipino candidates. And my personal take on this is that the IELTS listening examination is the easiest to prepare for the reason that it has a very straightforward format in which you're going to actually get very familiar types of questions. And just a few exposures to this examination will already get you pretty decent scores when it comes to this aspect. The OET listening examination can be quite a challenge for some people insofar as there are some medical inclined contexts or topics that might be associated with this. So you need to sharpen your ears a little bit because there are instances in which you might hear certain technical words or scenarios that you have never been exposed to in your life or your professional career. Interestingly, however, if you're going to ask me, the PTE listening examination is the hardest to prepare for and is also what I would consider to be the Waterloo of many candidates who are taking the PTE. And the precise reason for this is that there are just, and as you can see here from the slide, so many different question types. Some of them are even productive, in which you're going to be listening to certain recordings and you have to produce a writing task out of that, like summarize spoken text. And also write from dictation, in which you're going to be hearing an entire sentence and you have to be able to remember everything and type the entire sentence as accurately as you can. And that could be a bit of a challenge and might need some work and probably a lot of exposure and training before you get the hang of it. And also, one other thing that you should know about these exams is that even if you're good when it comes to the listening aspect, the way that the examination is going to be administered can also impact your performance. The listening test of the OET and the IELTS are actually placed in the beginning of the exam, which means to say that you are probably still very fresh and very excited to take the examination. So definitely you're going to wing your listening examination since it's the first test. And unfortunately for the PTE, it is the last examination. So, insofar as you're really skilled when it comes to the listening aspect, when you get to the listening part of the PTE, you're probably already very tired from speaking, from writing, and for reading, that you might not be able to focus as much as you can with other English exams. So, if your attention is compromised and you're the kind of person who cannot pay attention for an extended period of time, I would probably steer clear of the PTE listening examination. But if your attention is kind of good, then you can actually probably take any of these exams, definitely.
Thank you so much, Sir Brian. Now it's time to read some of the comments before we continue with our PowerPoint presentation. So, thank you so much, James, for tagging your friends, Ronnie Lou, Erna, and and Mimi. Josephine here is joining us all the way from South Africa. So, hello, South Africa. Hello, Africa. If I'm not mistaken, it might be noontime or afternoon to you over there. Greetings to our dear nurses and healthcare practitioners from the African continent now. We have a 70 live viewers on Facebook. And to make this interesting, perhaps we're going to share with you what we did when we took the IELTS listening, at least for me, and Coach Brian for PTE listening. So back then, I actually first took my IELTS in 2008. And ladies and gentlemen, during that time, there was no computer delivered version. Back then, everyone taking an English examination had to take the examination on paper. And mind you, during that time, you're actually seated with a candidate. And something I'll never forget about my listening examination, while I was erasing, my seatmate actually moved vigorously as if it was the end of the world. And to be honest with you, that can be distracting. That's why something for you to consider, especially if you are still undecided which English examination to take. Here's my 2 cents. For IELTS, there's IELTS on paper and there's IELTS on computer. Yes, there is IELTS online test at home, but this is not something which is accepted by CGFNS for visa screen. So for our dear nurses, kindly avoid taking the IELTS online test at home because if you submit the result of that, you will still be required to repeat the examination either on paper or computer because they are the ones accepted by USA. So if you plan to take the examination on computer, I want everyone to know that you're going to be provided with individual headsets and you don't have any seatmates because basically you're the only one on the workstation. And the results for IELTS on computer are much faster. 3 to 5 days only, as compared to IELTS on paper. There is a possibility that you're seated with another person on the table who can actually be distracting. And it's not as if all the candidates for IELTS on computer are provided with individual headphones because in certain areas, especially if the testing center is far from the capital, most likely you're going to use a sound system for IELTS listening. So, Coach Brian, what about you? When you took PTE, would you like to share with us some of your experiences in the listening subtest?
I'm actually picking up a lot of those things that you've mentioned a while ago, sir, about paying attention and being distracted because it can really be very distracting when you're taking an English examination. It is something that is inevitable when you're taking the test. Whether you're taking a paper delivered examination or a computer delivered test, there will always be a distraction. Maybe your seatmate is a little bit nervous or anxious or frantic. Maybe you're hearing some background noises or the rustling of the papers or stuff. So there will definitely be some sort of distraction there. But one of the best things you can do to actually alleviate the anxiety that you're going to get and the lack of focus when you're taking the examination is to be absolutely prepared and familiar with everything that is going to happen. For example, for the listening examination of the IELTS, it is very important that you know the different parts of the test and what kinds of conversations or dialogues or monologues you're going to be hearing so that you can actually get yourself in the right zone in the mindset while you're taking the examination and you wouldn't be easily distracted. Also, this is the same case when you're taking the PTE. A lot of people say, oh, because it's a test that you're going to be taking in front of the computer, it's not distracting at all. But imagine if there are 15 people there typing their answers frantically on the keyboard while you're answering at the same time. It can really be kind of distracting for a lot of candidates who are taking the test. So my suggestion is to know the different types of questions and also be familiar with how to approach them one by one, which is something that we teach here at 9.09er, to actually lessen the burden and anxiety of taking the examination and to actually preclude as well the instances when you would panic in the test. Can you imagine? Like you don't know what you're going to do, or you don't know what the instructions are, or what strategies you're going to employ. Can really be something that might get you out of place and definitely affect or impact your test results negatively.
That is totally correct, Sir Brian. So, if we have candidates here looking for an examination on paper, you have two options, guys: IELTS on paper or OET on paper. Because for PTE, there is no paper based version. It's also worth pointing out that PTE is available in four key cities in the Philippines, OET available in 16, whereas IELTS available in 30 key cities nationwide. Now, before I ask Sir Brian to talk about OET listening, its format, now let's take a look at one of the comments. Actually, we have two. James Tan is from Rizal. So Rizal is actually very near SM Mega Mall Pasig. So Sir James, we would like to invite you, your friends, your neighbors, your family members to join us on June 29 English Exams Expo at SM Mega Mall. And who knows, you might go home with a free PTE exam, a free OET exam, or a free IELTS exam. Registration is totally free of charge. So please message me on Facebook or Vinyl Temporal or 9.09er English so that we can send you the registration code. Hanif Ula is from Pakistan. Hello, Mr. Hanif, and good afternoon to you in Pakistan. And guys, this Facebook Live session is, by the way, for everyone who plans to go to the United States of America. And right now, we are discussing the listening subtest. So earlier, I shared with you my experiences in IELTS listening, and Sir Brian also shared his experience in PTE listening, where there are 15 to 20 fellow candidates typing while you are listening to the recording. And sometimes some people are complaining, oh, the keyboard of my seatmate is too noisy. It's just unfortunate that as of 2024, the silent keyboard has not been invented yet. That's why it's really part of taking the examination that some of us might be distracted by the noise created by the keyboards of the fellow candidates taking the test together with you, especially if there are 15 to 20 candidates taking the test together. Mr. Hanif, thank you so much. You're welcome. So now, Coach Brian, what about OET listening?
Yeah, so probably in relation to that, Sir Irvin, I think a lot of people who are taking the examination are kind of swayed by what others have taken. So if they have friends who've taken one examination, they feel that is the perfect test for them. But I think that through a more comprehensive comparison of the different exams, you will be able to find which examination is the perfect fit for you. Because not because it worked for one person, it will also work for you. And in the case of the OET, one of the major benefits that you're going to get when you take this exam is you don't have to study a lot of different test formats simply because there are just a couple of types of questions. First, we have the multiple choice questions, which you're going to get in parts B and C of the test, and in part A, more kind of fill in the blanks, short answer questions. So it doesn't really require a lot of expertise when it comes to tackling various types of questions and memorizing different test formats because there are not really a lot of test questions that you're going to get in the test. They're very similar to each other. And so when you prepare for one type, then you're preparing for the rest of the questions that you're going to get in the examination. And probably one of the major challenges, however, of taking the OET in comparison to the PTE and the IELTS specifically is the pacing by which the speakers are going to be talking. Because what you would identify in IELTS listening and PTE listening is that most of the recordings are manufactured or fabricated, which means to say they are sound engineered. They're actually the kinds of recordings that you will get from voice artists or actors trying to record the speeches. So sometimes they will be very, very slow, or at times they're also super clear, not anymore close to real life. But when you're taking the OET, because the recordings are meant to simulate the kinds of experiences you will get as a healthcare professional abroad, the recordings are typically a bit faster compared to the other two exams. That doesn't make the examination any more or less difficult. It's just that it's a different approach, and you might be a little shocked when you've taken a different English examination, at least for the listening component before, and you take the OET. So it's a different ball game altogether. It's a different animal. You should approach it in a different fashion because not all exams are designed and made the same.
That is absolutely correct. And one thing to consider when you're preparing for the listening subtest is the accent. So we're going to talk about the accent, and maybe we can move on to the next slide or the next presentation because we actually have prepared two slides for you tonight, guys. Before we talk about accent, here we have a comment from Jeremiah Domingo Pascua. Good evening, listening from Isabela province. Oh, so Jeremiah over here is based in the Philippines. So it may not be practical to travel from Isabela all the way to SM Mega Mall just to attend the English Exams Expo. But one way that 9.09er can help you with your English examination is the discounted examination fee that we are offering. No need to worry about the review because AMN Healthcare International sponsors the English review of the applicants. So if you have not started anything yet with your US application, all you have to do is to message AMN Healthcare International or send them an email so that they can schedule you for initial interview and so on. They have job openings all over the United States of America. But finally, Jeremiah, when you decide to take the examination, if it's IELTS, PTE, or OET, then that's when we can help you with the actual examination because we offer a special price, a discount for all of these three examinations. There is no PTE in Isabela, no OET in Isabela, but there is IELTS in Isabela. So let me press send. There you go. I just sent you the details regarding the discounted IELTS examination fee in Region 2. And the most accessible testing center from Isabela is Tugigarao. And the testing center in Tugigarao is operated by the British Council in partnership with iPass Processing and 9.09er English. Now, we have reached the half part or midway of our presentation for tonight. So this time, let's move on to the second slide. First, I'd like to share with you that accent or familiarization with accent is one of the key factors for you to ace the listening test. Why? Because even if you think you are well versed or you're familiar with one kind of accent, what if you encounter something that you're not really exposed to? Say, for instance, Australian accent. Sir Brian, please correct me if I'm wrong, but Australian accent is usually predominant in OET listening. Did I get that right?
Yes, correct, Sir Irvin. And I think this is going to be a challenge because in most instances, the Australian accent will be present in the OET listening exam since it's manufactured in Melbourne, Australia. So it makes a lot of sense.
That's right. For IELTS though, letter I stands for international. And what's the meaning of international? It's going to be a combination of accents all over the world. So you're going to hear native speakers. There are English, Welsh, Irish, Scottish, Americans, Canadians, Aussies, and Kiwis who are going to talk in English, but with their respective local accents. But just because there's the letter I in the acronym IELTS, please be ready that there are non-native speakers who are going to talk in English. Say, for instance, there might be an Eastern European talking in English, or an African talking in English, or could be a South Asian. What we are saying is don't just make yourselves familiar with one type of accent because in preparing for these examinations, you have to be exposed to all sorts of accents. That's why we at 9.09er English recommend that you watch the Netflix series known as The Haunting of Bly Manor because in one series you get to encounter American, Scottish, and Irish accent all at the same time. But if you want something that's focused on Scottish, maybe you want to watch Baby Reindeer on Netflix or the animated movie Brave. What about you, Coach Brian? Are there specific shows or movies or anything to watch or anything to listen that you can share to our live viewers for tonight?
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree with that, Sir Irvin. And I think that one of the most important things that you should do in preparation for your test is to condition your mind. Your brain is a very powerful muscle, you see, that if it gets exposed to only one kind of language, particularly English, it starts to adapt to it in the sense that it starts to adjust to how it sounds and to recognize that particular language. And it's actually precisely the reason a lot of candidates who have lived abroad indeed perform really well in the listening examination, because in those situations when they're abroad, they don't really have an opportunity to listen to their native language, and they're forced to listen to people speaking in English. In the same way that you could also condition your mind to do the same thing, perhaps just like what Sir Irvin said, watch a lot of English shows in various accents, listen to a lot of recordings for the IELTS or for the OET or for the PT. You don't have to do anything. Like, you don't really have to work on an exam yet. Just listen, just so that you can expose yourself to how English sounds, and your brain would adjust to how it actually sounds and feels. And when you have done that, your brain will start to eventually recognize those very weird sounds, and it becomes a part of you, a part of your system. Probably you enjoy watching Korean dramas, or maybe you enjoy watching Filipino noontime shows, or a lot of the Filipinos that comes here in the Philippines. But this is not the perfect time for you to be doing that. You should actually kind of recalibrate your strategy and try to veer away or steer clear of these kinds of shows and start focusing on English shows because you have an upcoming English examination.
That is super true. So it's not wrong to listen to, say, for instance, Korean pop stars, or it's not totally bad to watch K drama. It's just that this won't help your cause in preparation for your English examination. So, we are not saying that you totally veer away from these, but maybe for the time being, while you're preparing for your English exams, immerse yourself in English. So, eat English, speak English, breathe English, think English, because you are preparing for an English examination. So far, we have talked about accents, but the next line tells us something about scoring. So I'll talk about IELTS, while Sir Brian is going to talk about PTE scoring and OET scoring. So for IELTS, as you know by now, 9.0 is the perfect grade in the IELTS. No wonder why this review center is called 9.0 Niner English. 9.0 because that's the perfect grade in the IELTS examination. And the term Niner is being given to one examinee who gets 9.0 in at least one of the four components of the test. Before, we were 9.09er IELTS Review Center. It's just that through the years, we have evolved. And right now, we are not just a review center for IELTS. We are offering preparation courses for OET, PTE, MET, TOEFL, TOEIC, CELPIP, CELBAN, Duolingo. So name it, most likely we have an English exam. We have an English review for that. And when we started 17 years ago, we were just a review center. But now we are also a testing center. We are also an official reseller. So we rebranded ourselves recently and called ourselves 9.09er English. And it's the most encompassing term to describe what 9.09er is doing now. So if you're a nurse going to the United States, you do not need a specific band score in listening. All you have to do is to get a 7 in speaking and 6.5 overall band score. But to get 6.5 overall, what do we usually recommend? The target is 6.0 in listening. And what is a 6 in listening? That is 24 to 26 correct answers out of 40 points. Now, someone asked me, sir, what if I get 23 correct answers? Can I still go to the United States? The answer is yes. Because what I've said earlier is you do not need a specific grade in listening to qualify for your visa screen and your state board of nursing license. All you have to do is to get the required band for speaking and overall. But someone asked me, sir, can you give us a definite grade? Like 6.0 must be 24 or 6.0 must be 26, because sometimes it's confusing. Now, here's a straightforward answer to that response. Band score equivalents are not fixed. What does this mean? If the material is easy, the band score equivalents are higher. But if the material is difficult, that's when you expect the band scores to be lower. So if the material is easy, 6.0 might be 26. But if the material is difficult, 6.0 might be 24. So, Coach Brian, is it also like this in OET listening and PTE listening scoring?
Yes, sir, Irvin, very much so. In fact, in the listening examination, there are 42 question items, and you will be scored between 0 and 500. And you also get not only numerical scores but also letter scores, but this will be greatly dependent on the performance of the entire batch of candidates who took the examination, because there are item analysis that are going to be done after your examination, the same with the PTE. So sometimes you might actually wonder, oh my gosh, I missed one item in the PTE listening examination, I'm not capable of getting a perfect score anymore. And when you get your test result, you actually got a perfect mark. And that is precisely because these tests do not actually set very standard conversion rates. And the conversion rates will be very much dependent on the performance of each and every candidate who took the examination on test day. There might be some adjustments, or maybe there are some score differences or variances, but that will depend on the difficulty of the examination, because they want the test to be as fair and as discriminating as possible. And speaking of discriminating, I mean, these exams are really going to test not only your knowledge when it comes to listening, and as you can see here in the slide, there are so many skills that are going to be tested, mainly about the listening exam. But on a personal note, I do not feel that these exams only test your mental acuity and your listening abilities, but also your physical stamina when you're taking the examination. Sir Irvin was talking about locations of different exams, and also like the convenience of taking these exams. And I think that's one very important thing, because if you have to travel, for example, long distances just to get to your examination venue, maybe 2 hours prior to the examination, you're already traveling. When you arrive at the test venue, you will not be at your 100% best, and you would probably be better off performing and getting the scores that you want in an examination that is closer to you. If you, for example, had to travel long distances, fly, and then, stay at the hotel, and you're sleepless for 1 or 2 nights prior to your English exam, you wouldn't expect to pass this examination, because it requires not only your ability and readiness to take the test, but also your physical kind of state during the examination. I think all of you will agree with that. So choose the right exam so that you will not get into this kind of situation.
And this is exactly the reason why we are bringing the examination to a lot of cities nationwide. At one point, there were just like 10 computer labs nationwide, but right now there are 20 computer labs nationwide, and half of them are owned by 9.09ers. So if you want to take the examination at a cheaper cost, because we offer a much discounted price, if you're going to take at our testing centers, then choose the testing centers located in Manila City, Makati City, Imus, Calamba, Lipa. There's Dagupan, Cabanatuan, Tugigaraw, Vigan, Cagayan de Oro, and Bacolod. So here are our 11 testing centers nationwide. Wait for our big reveal, because who knows, we might be announcing our next testing center to make it easier for you, so that you don't have to travel to the nearest city or the nearest province, just so you can take your English test. And speaking of skills, for listening, yes, we have to be familiar with the accent, but mind you, your hands must also be busy in note taking. Whether you're taking notes on paper or you're going to type certain words on your keyboard, you have to be very busy and you have to multitask in listening. Your eyes must be reading the questions on the screen or the test booklet. So your ears must be paying attention to the details. And what other things that I need you to do? Your mind, you have to be mentally present, because in most instances, you cannot hear the recording the second time around. So as you can see, even if this is the subtest considered to be the easiest of them all, it's not going to be a walk in the park. You need to prepare And by sharing with you the format, the tips, and so on, then you are one step closer to not just passing, but acing the listening subtest. So now let's take a look at the last line I get to see here. Special features. So, what are these special features? Let's ask Sir Brian. What are the special features in PTE listening and OET listening?
Okay, you might not want to hear what I'm gonna say, but there are instances when you make mistakes, you can still correct them. There are instances when you're given a chance whenever you commit a mistake or whenever you make an error. However, when you're taking the PTE listening examination, it's always touch move. What it means to say is that since this is an AI scored, computer assessed, computer marked examination, there is no going back. And since all of the items are integrated with other components of the test, once you click next, the moment that you do, your score is already calculated for that item integrated with the other components. So there is no way for you to go back to previous items and correct those items just in case you're not sure of your answer. And so you have to be 100% certain and confident with your responses before you hit the next button, which is in complete contrast with the other two exams, especially for the paper delivered edition and even in the IELTS on computer version, because you can actually check all of the answers that you have written on your paper or the ones that you've selected on screen, and you're given even a 10-minute transfer time for listening for the paper delivered version of IELTS, which gives you plenty or ample opportunities for you to correct answers which you're not certain about. And when you're taking IELTS on computer, don't you know that you will get a feature there that you can highlight items that you're unsure of so you can go back to them at any time during the entire course of your listening examination, which is kind of different from when you're taking the PTE listening because it's so stringent like that. When you click the next button, it's over, it's done. You will be moving on to the next item. Now, for the OET listening, one important feature of the test is that it is so relatable because these are the kinds of conversations that you will have in the medical environment or probably some things that you've already had before, only that they're in English. It can be a handover. That's what we call in the Philippines endorsement, or it can be a communication between the patient and the healthcare provider, or a diagnosis of a doctor to a patient, and things like that, basically, which kind of makes the examination for me a little less intimidating. But regardless of these special features and all of those advantages and disadvantages that I've talked about, the most important thing is to make sure you're prepared for whatever examination that you have selected because your preparation will get you really, really far. Right.
That's why you have to maximize the preparation being offered by AMN Healthcare International. The free review includes live lectures like what we are doing right now. Number two, daily one on one coaching from Monday to Sunday. Yeah, I know there's YouTube, there's TikTok, but guys, mind you, the videos over there cannot assess your individual performance. So that's the reason why AMN Healthcare International sponsors the preparation and the review of their nurses. They send them over to us, and we offer live lectures, daily one on one coaching, plus recorded versions, especially for those who cannot attend the live and interactive classes. Last December, we were the pioneer in offering AI powered mock examinations for PTE, listening, reading, writing, and speaking. But for IELTS and OET, we also have AI for you. And that's AI powered writing correction for IELTS writing and OET writing. So imagine all of these resources available for you. Thank you so much, AMN Healthcare International, for sponsoring the review of our dear nurses. So, once again, if you know anyone looking for free preparation, then all you have to do is to tell them to apply with AMN Healthcare International because you don't just get your free review, but there is also sponsorship for your examination. Now, let's take a look at some of the comments. Then perhaps we are going to wrap up and identify the winner for tonight's Facebook Live session. So let me see. Here's a comment. Teresita is watching all the way from London. Oh, yeah. Sir Ryan Vocalan just commented Niner is the best way for you to secure your American dream. I'm not really sure if Sir Ryan is going to allow me, but guys, he's actually one of our MET passers. So he recently passed his MET examination with just what? A short preparation. And now he can apply for visa screen thanks to his MET results. So congratulations to you, Sir Ryan. Thank you for choosing 9.09er and thank you for choosing MET. So now let's have a final wrap up. Sir Brian, last minute invitations to our discounted exams and last minute invitation to our English Exams Expo. And then I'll choose a lucky winner. By the way, for those of you who have just joined us, yes, every time 9.09er English is here on AMN Healthcare International Facebook Live, we give prizes. So, what are these prizes that you can possibly win? It could be a GCash incentive of 500 pesos. It could be a free book, hard copy of IELTS or OET book. Number three, it could be one-on-one coaching with me or one-on-one coaching with Sir Brian. Or number four, it could be AI-powered writing correction. So let's ask Sir Brian to invite our dear candidates to maximize the discounted examination fees and to invite them to our English Exams Expo on June 29.
Certainly, Sherwin. And I'm so excited to announce that we at 9.09er are offering discounted rates for your various English exams, particularly the IELTS, the PTE, and the OET. And it comes with free processing assistance, so you don't have to go through all of the hassle and inconvenience of booking your examination by yourself. You give us your information, we take care of the rest for you, and you get them at discounted rates. So where else can you find that? You get all of the convenience of not anymore personally booking your exam, and you get a discount as well. All you need to do is to message us on Facebook at 9.09er English, the Facebook page of 9.09er. You can send Sir Irvin a message as well, or you can email exams at nineronlinereview.com so you can get started with your exam booking just in case you're booking your test. And this is open for all, not only to Niner students. So even if you're just probably thinking of taking the examination in a few months time or a few weeks, you can book with us at 9.09er and we're going to be providing assistance for you. And I would also want to invite everyone here to join us on June 29, 2024, 12 noon onward at the SM Mega Mall Mega Trade Hall for our English Exams Expo. This is the very first English Exams Expo here in the Philippines, brought to you by 9.09er. We're going to be raffling off a lot of exciting prizes, and most importantly, we're going to also be teaching there. So there will be speakers who will not only provide for you information about your different exams, but also some useful insights and motivation that can help you to win your English exams. Because it's not only your preparation by yourself that helps sometimes the experiences of other people who have taken the examination and who have successfully cleared these tests can be of great benefit to you, or might even propel you to get higher scores in your actual examination through the inspiration and motivation that you're going to get. So, see you there. We're going to be there. We're going to be speaking as well. So, I hope to see everybody there at the 9.09ers English Exams Expo. Once again, that's June 29, 2024, 12 noon onwards at the SM Mega Mall Mega Trade Hall.
I'd like to echo what Sir Brian said. Not only do we offer free processing of your discounted exam fee, this is also a great opportunity, especially if you don't own a credit card. Why? For PTE, a credit card is strictly required to register for the exam. For OET, credit card is the only option. That's why 9.09er allows our dear nurses to apply for the test even without credit cards. You pay us in cash, we use our credit card to register you for the examination. And for those who are interested in the English Exams Expo, it's not all about English exams. Maybe if you're just looking for 17,000 pesos, that's our grand prize. Why 17? That's because we are celebrating our 17th year in the industry. So 17,000 pesos, that's a grand prize. Plus 17 winners of 1,000 pesos each. So total of 34,000 pesos in cash to be given away on June 29. Now it's time to read the last few comments and identify the lucky winner. So Elizabeth Hilasha said she's actually watching all the way from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So I think it's late afternoon in Saudi, if I'm not mistaken. And then Diane, proud Niner student here. Thank you, Niner. Oh, thank you so much for taking the time to write that comment. I know that most of you are busy, but for you to go out of your way and take your time to come up with a comment like this one, we are so grateful, and this is very much appreciated. So for tonight, some of you reacted, some of you commented, but usually we reward the first person to comment because this person jump-started the conversation. If no one comments, then there's nothing actually for us to talk about and there's no conversation. So thank you because you made this possible. The first person to tag three friends, basically, it's James Nexon. So congratulations to you, James Nexon. Please message 9.09er English, or you can message me personally and let me know your preferred price. Is it GCash incentive of 500 pesos? Is it a free book? Is it free one-on-one coaching with me or Sir Brian? Or AI-powered writing correction. So once again, we'd like to thank all our live viewers for tonight. We'd like to thank everyone at AMN Healthcare International for allowing 9.09er to share our expertise. So we are scheduled every second and fourth Monday of the month. That's 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. And do not forget the Friday show of AMN Healthcare International. That's onwards and upwards. So after everything that we have said for tonight, for those of you who are about to sleep, we greet you good night. If you're from other parts of the world and you have to continue your day, well then enjoy the rest of your day. Once again, we are AMN Healthcare International and 9.09er English. We'll see you in our next Facebook Live session. Bye everyone. Good night.